Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight as we go over our fall reopening plan. I would like to take this opportunity to thank many of you as parents that participated in a number of committees that we had. We worked and continue to work in concert with you to obtain the safest and the best possible reopening of our school community. So once again, thank you for all that you have done together with us. The format for this evening is that we will have attendees will be joining via Zoom, and we will also have live streaming through our Portsmouth School Department YouTube channel. We will be reviewing our school plan according to 3 critical areas: the area of operations, health and safety, and instruction and supports. In operations, we had Ms. Pamela, and we also had health and safety was myself, and instruction and supports, Ms. Lisa Goodwin. Additionally, we developed tonight's presentation using questions that we have received from you on the parent survey, and we will be answering additional questions that were submitted. At the conclusion of this meeting, we will be releasing this presentation and our reopening handbook to you. So as Dr. Kenworthy email yesterday stated, we will be using a phased-in reopening plan that I will go over it with you.
Can you see that, Joelle? Joelle?
Yes.
Can you see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay.
I can. I just need to put my glasses on.
All righty.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
The plan that was chosen for our reopening, which will start on September the 14th, is that our 5th grade will come in person to our school. And for that particular week, also the life skills in grades 5 through 8 will be in person, but grades 6, 7, and 8 will be long distance. The following week, the week of the 21st, on Monday, we will have 5th grade in person, life skills 5th to 8th grade also in person, and then grades 6, 7, and 8 in distance learning. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 5 and 6 always will be in person, life skills 5 through 8 will be in person, and 7th and 8th, grade 7 and 8 will be distance learning. On Thursday of that week, of the 21st, we have grades 5, 6, 7 in person, life skills grades 5 through 8 in person, and 8th grade will be distance learning. On Friday, we have grades 5, 6, and 8 in person, life skills grades 5 through 8 in person, and on that particular day, Friday, 7th grade will be distance learning. On the week of the 28th, we will have on Monday, grades 5, 6, and life skills in person, and grades 7 and 8 in distance learning. And then we will follow that week with Tuesdays and Thursdays and Wednesdays and Fridays as grades on Tuesdays and Thursdays, grades 5, 6, and 7, and life skills will be in person. 8th grade will be distance learning. And then on Wednesdays and Fridays, 5th, 6th grade, and 8th grade will be in life skills in person, and then 7th grade will be in distance learning.
I'm Lisa Goodwin, and I'm the assistant principal for Teaching and Learning, and I'm going to be talking about our distance learning plan for the middle school. So in grades 5 through 8, middle school, all grades, distance learning students will be instructed by their PMS teacher and be included in the class list. Distance learning students will have access to Google Classroom, all assignments, and unified arts classes. Distance learning students will be integrated into instruction as much as the classroom teacher feels is appropriate based on the design of the lesson. Teachers are responsible for coordinating all efforts to support distance learning students. At the middle school, the student support team will coordinate efforts to provide academic and/or social emotional support for distance learning students. Distance learning students will be assigned to appropriate team members supporting the student and their family. They will be a contact point. They will monitor attendance, submission of assignments, and the success of their academic plan. Our student support team at PMS includes administration, classroom teachers, instructional coaches, school counselors, social worker, our school psychologist, our interventionists, special educators, our student assistance counselor, and our student support specialist. Members at the table can vary depending on the area of need.
Pam?
There we go. Sorry, the host had to unmute me. Good evening, everybody. Pamela Storm, Director of Student Services, and I was chair of the operations team for the middle school. So I'm going to go over transportation, arrivals, and dismissals with you right now. So the first piece that we're going to discuss is the bus transportation. So we know that busing available is limited due to the ride guidelines. The district is making every attempt to provide busing as much as we can and much as possible. Students must wear a face mask covering at all times when they are riding the bus. They will be riding on the same bus in the morning as well as the afternoon. There are no exceptions to this. If a student does arrive at the bus stop, getting ready to enter the bus, if they do not have a face mask, the bus company will have some available to give to your student to ride the bus. Those families who did fill out the transportation survey to work on securing a spot will receive a confirmation if a seat is available on the bus for their child. So you can look for that communication coming from the district. All right, the next one, this is all the fun, arrival and dismissals. So I felt that I wanted to give you a map. For the most part, the traffic patterns have stayed the same. The operations team, they did an amazing job really working together and pinpointing and finalizing, what's going to be safe for our students, what's going to be safe for our community, as well as streamlining this dismissal process. So if you look at Jepson Lane, the green line is going to be your car drop-off route. That is going to be in the AM as well as PM. So that's also going to be where you're the same traffic pattern that you're picking up your students in the afternoon. The red line is the bus drop-off route. So those two routes have not changed from previous. We felt that was important to deliver some type of consistency to the community. You also are going to see that there are two crosswalks. So for our families that live across on Omni Knoll and Sisson Pond, we want to make sure that our students are using those crosswalks. And I'll speak a little bit more to that as I go through the slides. Lisa, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, arrivals. So knowing that the map, and you will have access to this later, so you'll be entering the same way you did previously, that I'm calling that entrance number 2, the Sisson Pond Road entrance, and stay to the right as well as going up in front of the school. So we do have some tiered drop-off times. Grade 5 and 6 will start drop-off at 7:50 in the morning. Grade 7 and 8 will start drop off at 8 a.m. Cars should pull up to the drop-off sign, which for a visual cue is by where our mailbox is. It will be monitored by a faculty member on duty to assist with the traffic flow pattern. Students should exit the vehicle curbside when possible. If students are not curbside and they exit the passenger side of the vehicle, we ask that the students are crossing in front of their drop-off vehicle as another layered safety measure. For efficiency, we ask that students are ready to exit their car with all the materials needed. We really want to try to avoid opening the trunk or opening the back door, because all these seconds will add up to minutes, which could potentially add to a backup on Jepson Lane. So we really would appreciate your patience and your cooperation with making sure that your students have all their belongings either on the floor with them or on their lap as you're arriving at school for a nice, smooth transition to keep the flow of traffic going. We also ask that only students exit the car and not the parents trying to open up back doors and trunks and so forth. As well as, actually, I'm going to go back. Lisa, could you just go back 1 second? Sorry. Within the drop-off procedures, so when the students disembark the cars and they are heading into the building, grade 5 and 6 are going to enter by the gym lobby doors. There will be plenty of signage out there directing your child where they need to enter the building, following all of our social distance guidelines. So grade 5 and 6 students will enter when you are dropping off by the gym lobby doors. Grade 7 and 8 students are going to enter through the main lobby doors and head straight down to their wings. All set, Lisa? Okay, the school buses are following their same traffic pattern. We will be able to unload 3 buses at a time following our social distance guidelines. Grade 5 and 6 will have the first drop off like normal and then head to their respective doors following their guidelines and heading into their homerooms. Grades 7 and 8, the buses will pull around and drop them off, and they will enter their respective doors as well. Staff are always out there to meet and greet the students to make sure that they're following their guidelines and seeing if they need any help with directions on where they need to proceed. For our walkers at Sisson Pond, as well as some that come from the side, if they are crossing, we ask that they do use the crosswalks. There will be a staff member present at the crosswalk from 7:45 to 8 a.m. We'll have traffic vests for those staff members, as well as the police will also be making their rounds to make sure that road is safe for everybody. Late arrivals. So, we're handling everything with grace, and we understand the traffic patterning is gonna, it might take longer than usual. But if you are arriving, 9:30, 10 o'clock from a doctor's appointment or so on, we ask that when you do arrive that you call the main office and verbally check in your child. The child will obviously leave your vehicle and head towards the school. A staff member will meet your child at the entrance door following the social distance guidelines. And then check them in to make sure that we mark them present for the day, and then they'll be able to head to their classes. If you did come from a doctor's appointment and you would like to provide that appointment confirmation letter for an excused tardy, you may do so. And you can also do it electronically, and we included the fax number for you. All set. All right, dismissals. Parent pickup. So this year, knowing the influx in cars that we're going to have because we had a decrease in students because of the guidelines on the bus, we have, I have worked with Hathaway, with Principal Little, and really trying to figure out how we're going to streamline this dismissal process, keeping those guidelines and keeping our students safe. And safety has been our #1 goal. So in order for us to promote safety and structure during this dismissal process, we are going to be using an app on our iPads or Androids called iDismiss for our dismissal procedures. So within iDismiss, I'll talk a little bit about what it is and then what it means for you. So iDismiss, as you enter, each student is assigned a placard number, and I will talk a little bit more about that in a couple seconds. But iDismiss logs in the list of cars, the specialized numbers that you will receive on your placards, as you arrive, it matches with your student and the teacher that your student currently has at the end of the day for dismissal. When your student's teacher gets notified that their pickup is here, that teacher dismisses the student to the front of the school. When that teacher dismisses, there also will be what's called a gatekeeper outside of those exit doors, the gym lobby doors for 5th and 6th, or the main office lobby doors for 7th and 8th. And we'll also be checking them off the app for a streamlined process. So students will only be leaving their classrooms if they are one of the first 12 cars that have been logged in. So what does this mean for me as a parent of a Portsmouth Middle School student? So here's how it's going to work. When you arrive on the property to pick up your child in the car lane, so you're following that same drop-off pattern that you did in the morning, except now you're picking up. You're going to display your school-issued placard on your rearview mirror or your dashboard. So I'll talk a little bit more about the placards. So every student will have a specialized number, and those all will be school issued. We have to make sure that, we're following safety protocols. So we'll only be issuing one placard at this time. And then we'll talk about carpools in a couple of seconds too. As you arrive in that car pickup lane, there will be a staff member that will be entering your placard number. That number has been assigned to your child. Your child's homeroom teacher or dismissal teacher will get notified on their iPad app that they have open that their pickup ride is here. Upon exiting the building, the staff member, that gatekeeper, will also check off that your student is leaving the building. It is imperative that families are also adhering to the assigned pickup times for that backlog on Jepson as well. If you are going to be part of a carpool, and a carpool is going to be 2 or more families that are consistently Monday through Friday going to be picking up the same children. If you are in need of more placards, we ask that you contact the main office, and they will go through the safety protocol to make sure that the placards can be given to you if you are working with a couple other families to help streamline your pickup process. I think the next one, Lisa. For the buses, students will remain in their classroom until their buses are called. The bus pickup time has not changed. The buses will still be getting called and be leaving from 2:30 to 2:45. The walkers in the area will be dismissed by their classroom teacher at 2:45. So we'll also make sure that there is a crossing guard available for those students that do need to cross Jepson Lane.
Well,
Okay, now we're going to talk about face coverings. And the Portsmouth School Department requires that all students, staff, and any visitors wear a face covering according to the Portsmouth School Committee policy.
did you want
I
to
can
go
go
over
over the policy for you, yes.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
So the policy is due to the evolving need for emergency measures related to COVID-19 pandemic, the highest priority for the Portsmouth School Committee is the health and safety of all students and employees. So until further notice, all students, all employees, and visitors are required to wear a mask or cloth face covering that covers his or her mouth and nose at all times while in the school grounds, or on the school bus. So all face coverings must be disposable surgical masks or multi-layered, clean, reusable cloth masks. The following masks do not effectively stop droplets from being released and therefore are considered ineffective and unacceptable. Masks with valves, neck gaiters, scarves, bandanas, and other single-layer masks, masks with openings, holes, or gaps in the design material, and masks that are wet, damaged, ripped, or torn are not acceptable. All students are required to wear face masks or cloth face coverings in school, on school property, and on a school bus. School personnel will work with young students with medical or other health conditions, disabilities, or developmental needs on exceptions where needed. Students whose health or safety is put at risk by wearing a mask or cloth face covering are required to provide medical documentation. Face shields will be provided for these instances. Each school will have age-appropriate procedures established for mask wearing to include opportunities for mask breaks. These procedures will be added to each school's student-parent handbook. Any student who refuses to wear a mask or face covering shall be removed from their instructional setting and redirected. If the issue cannot be resolved, the student will be required to participate in full distance learning. Employees must come to school each day with their own mask or cloth face covering. Should an employee forget his or her mask or cloth face covering or lose or damage during the work school day, the district will have spare reusable and disposable face coverings. And we do have the same thing for students in case that there is an incident throughout the day. And we also will ask parents to put a couple of extra in their book bag, just in case an accident does take place during the day. So please note the following exceptions. Employees whose health or safety is put at risk by wearing a mask or cloth face covering are required to provide medical documentation. Face shields will be provided for these instances. Employees who work on their own in an enclosed space are permitted to remove their mask if they are seated at least 6 feet from the doorway. However, they must wear their mask on face covering all other times. Employees who wish to eat or drink may remove their masks to do so, provided that they are situated 6 feet away from others, perform the necessary hand hygiene, and replace the mask when they are done. Any employee who refuses to wear a mask or face covering shall be placed on administrative leave as a first step until such time as the mask wearing issue is resolved. Now about the visitors, all visitors to the Portsmouth School Department shall be required to wear a mask or face covering while present in any school building, facility, and anywhere on school property grounds. This policy is to be enforced for any person or entity using the Portsmouth School Department facilities or on school grounds at any time. So also mask breaks are planned during recess for our students, lunch, and any other instruction time that occurs outside and socially distanced. Now we'll be talking about ventilation. The CDC guidance on ventilation for school, and this was updated the 21st of this month. So in order of the suggested steps, they increase outdoor air ventilation. I'll explain that on the very next slide. Use fans to increase the effectiveness of open windows. Ensure ventilation systems operate properly, improve air filtration, and use portable high-efficiency particulate air filtration systems in high-risk areas. So when it comes to all the classrooms, they have working air ventilation systems. We assess the operational quality of our systems. We also have ordered MERV 13 filters for all of our units. We have scheduled additional changes for air filters. We have purchased 2 fans for each one of the classrooms. Recommended Classroom setup for maximum ventilation is all windows will be open, one fan by the window blowing out, one other fan at the opposite end of the classroom blowing in, not directly on any individual. So we also have purchased portable, high efficiency particulate air filtration systems for indoor spaces without windows. All of these spaces also have fully functioning air ventilation systems. This is an additional piece. RIDE will be sending a team to evaluate each building throughout the state for efforts related to the air quality. Cleaning. Our custodial schedules have been adjusted to maximize coverage during the school day in the restrooms, classroom needs, and meal locations. And what we mean with that is that some of the custodials that were in the second shift, we have staggered starting times and ending times now, so we can have more help during the day while students are in school. Each building will get one additional custodial position that will be primarily for disinfecting high touch or high traffic areas on a constant schedule. Doorknobs, main offices, counters, etc. Indoor daily cleaning and disinfecting will be done with Virex, which is a spray bottle with paper towels. It will also be available in each one of the classrooms. Indoor and outdoor surfaces will be sanitized at the end of each week with Max Clean. This is a product that kills viruses and it prevents the spread, including coronavirus, for up to 4 weeks, but we are applying it on a weekly basis to take extra precautions.
Pam?
All right, there we go. Within visitors for our school, they are going to be very limited in order to reduce that exposure to the virus. If parents or guardians need to enter the school building, it will be limited to 1 per student. And we do have the ring buzzer in that first area. So that will also help us. The PSD volunteer program will not operate, unfortunately, during the 2021 year. Any visitor who does enter the school building will be required to wear a face covering, enter and exit the building through 1 location, and provide a contact phone number for a log that is required to be maintained for that contact tracing. So here you see a sampling of a couple of our classrooms as well as the hallway. So one classroom, the middle school, we actually have a blessing where we had our learning centers where we could take 4 classrooms and make them into 2 beautiful classrooms and maintain that 6 feet in between each desk. So the first picture all the way to the left, you will see a set of 24 desks that are center to center 6 feet apart. There'll be 1 teacher desk in there, and that teacher does have the Virex, the antibacterial, I don't think I'm gonna bring yes, they'll have the hand sanitizer. The middle picture is a combination of a science lab that has been broken down into a full regular ed classroom. So there will be some students at desks that are center to center 6 feet apart. And then the far end are the science labs where students will be staggered opposite corner to maintain that 6 feet of social distancing. The last picture on the right is what the students are going to see in every single hallway, but it will be either a darker blue or a red tape in every single hallway. So there's a snap line that goes right down the middle that will center it out, passing on the right. So we have a left side and a right side. They're also going to see 12-inch hash marks every 6 feet throughout every single hallway. Their grade level hallways, as well as the student support hallways as well. Within the bathroom procedures of the building, students will use the bathroom that is in their grade level or team hallway. Grade 5 and 6 will have scheduled bathroom times in the morning with the cleaning in between classes, and then obviously they'll be able to go on an as needed basis. Grade 7 and 8 will use the bathroom on an as needed basis. All open bathrooms will be allowed to have up to 3 persons in the bathroom at a time. Students will have social distancing spots outside of the bathroom for waiting. Traffic patterns will be put into place in order to encourage the social distancing, and signage has been posted. So we were able to order some amazing decals that those, the foot place markers. So those will be placed outside every single bathroom, spaced 6 feet apart. Everything in the bathroom is labeled use or not use. So we really are abiding by that social distance, using every other sink or every other stall, and everything is clearly marked and clearly labeled for all the students.
All right, I'd like to thank everybody for their questions about what a typical day looks like. So I'm going to run through that. All students, when they enter the building, whether they're dropped off or take the bus, can pick up a grab and go breakfast if they would like. It's going to be set up outside of the cafeteria so they can literally just walk by. There'll be social distancing marks. They can pick up their breakfast and they will eat it in their homeroom. We aren't using the lockers this year. They're going to go directly to their homeroom and eat there. And there will be some homeroom procedures in the morning for lunch ordering and attendance. Now, all distance learning students will follow their schedule, both in person and in distance learning. Attendance will be taken in homeroom and at the beginning of each period. Teachers will be teaching both distance learning students and in-person students. Both synchronous and asynchronous lessons will be used, as well as a variety of assignments, both independent and collaborative. Distance learning students will also take part in all forms of assessment, same as their in-person classmates do. So whether you're in person or you're distance learning, we're going to follow the schedule, and the schedule includes 56-minute periods. We have some beautiful spaces outdoors for some classes to be held, weather permitting. The teachers are going to coordinate that. Everybody will have a 25-minute lunch every day, eaten in the classroom or outdoors. As part of the supply list, we have asked parents to send in beach towels and clipboards so that students can have their own spot outside. Recess will be provided in the schedule. Grades 5 and 6 will both have recess scheduled, as well as movement breaks. Grades 7 and 8 will have opportunities for movement breaks as needed. Unified arts classes are part of both schedules for both distance learning and in person. So regardless of which you choose, you will be participating in those classes. We've also added a Patriot block to our schedule this year, 5 days per week. It's also a 56-minute period, and that's when students will be receiving their intervention or their enrichment. And distance learning students will have opportunities for those just like their in-person classmates. We also have an advisory scheduled once per week for social emotional support. And again, both distance learning and in-person students will be able to take part in that. Mrs. Alvarez, would you mind going over the health protocols? We had a lot of questions around what happens with symptoms and things like that. So I would like our nurse for the district to go over this.
Hi, I'm Lynn Alvarez. I'm the nursing coordinator for the Portsmouth School Department. And I wanted to discuss some of the health policies that are in place during this COVID-19 crisis. All nursing decisions will be based on guidance from the Rhode Island Department of Health. And that information, as you may be aware, can change from time to time. This is an evolving science, so it's as they get new information, sometimes there's a change. The most current information that we have from the reopening RI playbook for schools is here in front of you. This is the slide with the symptoms that will help us determine if a student is a student or staff member is a probable case. Anyone who has a cough, shortness of breath, or difficulty breathing, or a new loss of taste and smell, they only need to have one of those symptoms to be considered a probable case. In order to be considered a probable case in the yellow area, they would have to have two of those symptoms. So fever and chills, muscle or body aches, headache, sore throat, fatigue, congestion or runny nose, which is new, nausea and vomiting, or diarrhea. So the health protocols that the state has come up with are on this slide. I'm gonna, because I can see people's pictures and can't see the whole slide, I'm going to, if you see me looking off, it's because I'm referring to the information I have here. So a symptomatic person, even if it's any symptom, not a probable case, will be isolated. Medical advice will be recommended for that person. That may be a call to the pediatrician. It may be that the pediatrician is going to want to see the child. Test is advised. If the pediatrician says that they think that the child should be tested, then obviously the child needs to be tested. If not tested, the student must be fever-free for 24 hours and symptoms must have improved and the student must be back to health. The parents will fill out the parent attestation form, parents or guardians saying that that's the case, that the student is better. The student can return to school once the attestation form is filled out and the student is symptom-free. There is no action for that student's close contacts. If a student is a probable case, they will be isolated with supervision in our isolation space. Medical advice will be recommended, and a test is recommended for all probable cases. In order to return to school, the parent or guardian must produce an attestation form and a test result. Close contacts, there will be no action taken while we're waiting for the close contact. So close contacts are not quarantined until the test result is positive. If a person tests positive, the child is isolated and quarantined for 10 days. It's a symptom-based strategy now. So once the 10 days have gone by, the student must be fever-free for 24 hours. And any other symptoms that they have had must have improved. And as it says, it must be 10 days since the symptoms appeared. Return to school will be parent or guardian attestation. And there's been a lot of talk about this. The Rhode Island Department of Health is not saying that the student should have a negative test. The reason for that is that science has shown that people can test positive for up to 90 days and not be able to shed virus and make other people sick. So that is why we've gone to a symptom-based strategy. Close contacts of the person who is positive must be quarantined for 14 days from the last day of the COVID victim's symptoms. So, example, a parent tests positive. The student will be quarantined for the time that the parent is quarantined, the 10 days that the parent is quarantined. On the last day, his or her quarantine day period starts. So it would be a total of 24 days. That's because they may not have gotten infected until the very last day that the parent was ill. So that's an explanation of that. Okay. If a person tests negative, they still must be fever-free for 24 hours, and their symptoms must have improved, and they must be back to their usual health. They can return to school with the parent or guardian attestation form, and there is no action for the close contacts.
I just wanted to also add that in the previous slide, and everyone's going to get the link to this PowerPoint, that I have included a link there to the outbreak response protocols for pre-K through 12. That's about a 30-page document. We did a summary here, but if you would like to do more reading, you can use that link there. Thank you, Mrs. Alvarez.
Thank you.
There were a lot of questions about how our unified arts classes will be running this year. So I wanted to talk about that for a little bit. In grades 5 and 6, unified arts classes will deliver instruction in the grade level homerooms. That is because grades 5 and 6 are going to remain in their homeroom spaces for their instruction, and teachers will rotate to them. That's the elementary model. In grades 7 and 8, our students, will travel to the UA classes using social distancing and planned travel routes. That's because students in grades 7 and 8 will be traveling to classes. Our PE and health classes will be held. They will be utilizing outdoor spaces as much as weather permits, following the same as we talked about up above, coming to get their students in grade 5 and 6 or 7 and 8 traveling to them. In art, there will be no shared materials as in the past. So she will be giving bags of materials if students need something. And she also did send home a very good supply list. So if you need a copy of that, you can call the school if you did not receive one. Music, we are still obtaining further guidance from RIDE and the Rhode Island Department of Health. In the meantime, there'll be no singing or instrument playing in school until we receive that further guidance. This is an ongoing topic that we are waiting for some guidance on. Our computer engineering unified arts class will be using code.org resources and will be done on the Chromebook. We received about 40 questions from parents, and we have answered some of them here. Some of the most popular or common ones. Pam, would you take this part? This slide?
There we go. Sorry, when I put myself on mute because no one wants to hear my kids jumping. So the first question, will there be after school clubs or extra help? And then will there be a late bus? Unfortunately, no, there will not be any after school activities, and there will not be a late bus this school year. How does a parent fill out that daily COVID form? The form will be completed through your Aspen parent portal, and we will be forwarding those instructions to you very shortly. So please be on the lookout for that. Will students have lockers, and will they use the locker room for their PE classes? Students will not be using lockers in the hallway this year. They will be keeping their backpacks with them. So 5th and 6th grade, they will be, they'll have their own little station area in their classes because they will be staying in those specific classrooms. Grade 7 and 8 will be taking their backpacks with them class to class with all their learning materials. The locker rooms for the gymnasiums will be closed. So there'll be no changing for physical education this year. How are the absentee policies going to work? Will the students be penalized for staying home if they're showing symptoms of a cold? Can they distance learn that day and be counted as present? So when we look at those questions, we are awaiting some further guidance from RIDE in the realm of those attendance policies. So those once we get more specific information from RIDE to ease the community, we will let you know what those answers are.
If a child starts out in person but is uncomfortable or has anxiety, can they switch to distance learning because of that mid-semester? Yes, we are going to allow that, but then they must do the distance learning for the remainder of the marking period. I will be dropping off my kids at school each day, but they may need to take the bus home some days. Is this allowed? Unfortunately, since busing is limited due to CDC guidelines, we cannot accommodate day-to-day changes. What can I do to help my child be ready for coming back into the building? So we are recommending that this is a lot around the wearing of the mask and all the new rules. So I want to assure you that we are going to be conveying a positive attitude. We're going to be reassuring, and we're asking you to help us with that by building mask stamina, which we mean, practice wearing their mask at home. Try different kinds of masks. Some are more comfortable than others. Certain people like different ones. Try different ones. And then if there's one they like, send in a couple of extras just in case there's a problem in school. But that mask stamina is going to be really important. We all have realized the last couple of weeks working in school that the more you wear a mask, the easier it becomes. And that's the message we're going to be sending to students. We also talk about, nobody likes wearing a mask, but it does keep us safe, just like a bike helmet does, just like a life preserver does, just like a seatbelt does. So it falls into that category, and it's just something we have to do to keep each other safe. Another thing that parents can do is practice estimating that 6-foot distance. We are doing a really good job of giving the visual cues on the floor with the decals, but it always helps for a child to know how much is 6 feet from others. And also modeling resilience, just having, yes, this is a period of time that's different. We'll get through it. We're going to support each other. We are not going to give, detentions and punishments. We're going to be supportive, for not mask wearing. We're going to be supportive and, just try to work through it. We will be having mask breaks. If a child really needs a mask break, that's a possibility as well. With someone with them to do that. Also, have your child log into their school email account prior to the 13th in order to receive communication from the teachers. 5th graders will be receiving information on how to do that, but 6 through 8 should already know how to do that.
So on the topic of communication, before we end the meeting, and as Mrs. Gordon referred to, you have received an email, and I'm now talking to grade 5 parents and guardians. You have received an email that on September the 9th at 7 p.m., we will have an informational session for grade 5 parent and guardians only. That will be a virtual information, and we're going to talk about scheduling, that it's very much different from the elementary schools, grading, report cards, offerings that are taking place at Portsmouth Middle School. So all of that information piece will be taking place on September the 9th at 7 p.m. So I welcome all of you grade 5 parents. On that same day, September the 9th at 11 a.m., this message is now for new students to the district. We would like to welcome you, and we have a virtual tour that has been prepared by the guidance department, and we will be working on that one on September the 9th at 11 o'clock, so we hope that you all join us that morning also. Thank you again for being here with us tonight. We hope that we were very informative as to our reopening plan. And if you have any further questions, always, you know that we have an open door policy. Please send us an email, place a phone call. We'll be more than happy to have that conversation with you or give that answer that you are required. Thank you again and have a great night.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.